Sup everyone, welcome back to another video in a couple hours here. If you're catching this video early, I'm talking like you're the first maybe 2,000 people to come across this video, chances are you're going to be able to catch the live stream right here on my channel. I'm going to be going live in a couple hours here and we're going to look at patch 3.4. But before we look at patch 3.4, somebody recently had come back. Well, they didn't really come back because they released a video a month ago, but by their standards, I think they came back. They made a video and I want to react to it. However, I want you to go watch the video yourself first because I don't really like reacting to videos, sitting here watching it and then pausing and talking. This person has said in the past, like, well, you probably should finish the whole video, then comment on it. So I have finished the video and maybe I'll include snippets of it, but really I want you guys to go look at it first and then come and watch this video so I can have it on screen maybe, or link down in the description, pin comment. It's going to be there somewhere, you'll find it. And this video is talking about how Genshin is losing its veteran player base slowly but surely. And he himself is a veteran. You guys might have heard him. His name is Soul of an Artist, or he goes by Soul. He is somebody who I respect a lot, and when I first came across him months ago, I said this back then and I'll say it again. Soul is the kind of character, and he says it in his video as well, this is not truly him. He is kind of playing it up for content, but he embodies a side of the community that no bigger content creator has the guts to actively say what he says because they are just not in the position to do so. The best that the bigger content creators can do is voice their frustrations from time to time, and if you do it too frequently, you will get blacklisted, you will get shadow banned, and eventually you will just get weaned out of the community. Like, I mean, just look at some big creators who have voiced about this in the past, right? So that aside, Soul really is a person who is able to challenge the way we see the game, play the game, and in more ways than one. I think his message is the most clean and direct, despite him, you guys will know if you go watch the video, okay? So first and foremost, I want to tackle some of the topics here. He covers burnout, no endgame, and the content that we do have that is playable is repetitive and boring by his standards. Of course, he also says that there's nowhere to use characters. New content gets cleared way too fast. The fact that he said he finished 3 patches worth of content in 2 days. These are the things that he has mentioned in this video. Finally, there's also in the end that he mentions Hoyoverse has a fixation on non-important features such as fishing, teapot, and personally, I keep saying this, I've been saying this for like a year and a half almost, is I remember that feature where they have you crafting this item that causes a wind updraft, and then you can use that wind updraft to travel, and then they released a character called Kazuha, so this item has completely become obsolete. We're going to be going over all of these topics. So if you guys enjoy this and if you guys want something to watch before Genshin 3.4 livestream, hope this one scratches that itch for you when it comes to Genshin topics and discussions. All right, so let's talk about burnout in the very beginning. Burnout is a very personalized experience. What somebody could get burned out after playing Genshin for 2 months, right? Somebody could get burned out after 2 years. In Soul's case, he mentioned in his video that patch 2.6 was it, the Golden Archipelago, and leading into 3.0 was when he kind of burnt out and he didn't want to play the game anymore. And yes, when Sumeru first came out, it did excite him, but he also said that many content creators, himself included, didn't find Sumeru all that overwhelming. There was nothing really new. Yes, a new region, but it's not like we haven't seen new regions. We've seen Inazuma, we have seen smaller regions being released, sub-regions, so it's nothing really wowing, right? So people might get hung up on the fact that new region, new Archon, new story, but you guys have to understand what's at the center of it. What's all of this stuff? Think of it as the packaging, but what is the packaging down at the core? The essence of the game hasn't really changed, and I think that's where Soul really hammers home the idea that, it might be new, but it's kind of just like a skin on an old product. However, one thing I will add is that content consumption is also different for different players. Some people might be able to finish, let's say for Soul's example, he is a player who knows a lot about the game. He is very knowledgeable. He actively seeks out knowledge, to my understanding. I don't think he figures everything out by himself, but he actively seeks out the resources available to him to maximize his playing efficiency. So by his standard, of course, content is going to breeze by because the people providing these kind of resources, they oftentimes get early access information from the betas. They have guides ready before the patches even dropped. Let you guys know in on a little secret here, most of these people have their entire guide videos already done sitting on the side, but HoYoverse has restrictions on when videos can be released. For example, next patch we'll get a new character called Alhytham. I'm willing to bet you guys there will be content creators, the ones with agencies, who will have entire guide video including his best teams and everything, constellations, everything about him is done 3 to 5 days before the patches are even out. So my point here is these people can get so much information collected, and by the time we actually get to play the characters, there are videos out there that will detail everything you could possibly want to know about these characters. And if you consume this type of content, of course you are going to be speeding, blitzing through the content. Same with the stories, right? Like stories, you can just go watch story lore channels. You don't really need to play through yourself. And if you do want to play through yourself, oftentimes it's just like 10-15% of the real meat of the story, and then there's about 85% of it is just somewhat meaningful dialogue, but not really. Like a lot of this dialogue could be shut down. I don't want to argue about that, but my point here is that the content that is available to you is very padded. HoYoverse has padded the content and it's just fluff. So if you want to weed through the fluff, both for the characters, the builds, the meta stuff, as well as the lore stuff, of course you're not going to have much left. If we're to use a little more crude of an example, it would be like Genshin is a girl, a pretty decent looking girl, but she covers herself with like 3 pounds of makeup. And if you take her to swimming on the first date and every single date, and you shed off all that makeup, sure, she's still a pretty decent looking gal, but she put in a lot of effort to make herself look pretty, but you actively keep taking it off of her. So that's what I'm saying. Let Genshin be Genshin, which is that I'm not saying don't look at the meta content. I'm just saying if you are struggling yourself through burnout and you don't feel like you're enjoying this game, either A, go play another game with Genshin, or not with Genshin and just drop Genshin altogether and maybe come back whenever you feel excited, or B, maybe stop blitzing through the content. And this is not just directly directed at Soul, but I'm just saying, right? Like you say you blitz through content very fast, and if people who are watching saying, oh, I can't enjoy Genshin because I blitz through it way too damn fast, there are ways to slow it down, right? Like maybe consume less meta content, maybe consume less content where they figure everything out for you. You don't need to test the weapons, you don't need to test characters, because let me tell you, these content creators, they're spending weeks testing these characters for you guys, weapons, team, talent, priorities, and everything there's know about, like attack sequences, everything. So they're the ones who's really, by essence, enjoying having fun, figuring things out. And when it gets to you guys, just plug and play. Right? So that's my answer to when it comes to burnout with characters and content that's not ever lasting, or it feels like it doesn't last, because there's content that's designed to make it not last, if that makes sense. Now, another thing is that Genshin Impact has nowhere for you to use characters. So Soul has said this in his video, and it's a repeated thing that he said many, many times, and I hear this a lot. That these characters are amazing, they're beautiful, they're strong, and they have diversity, but there's really nowhere to use them. Soul in his video said he got Scaramouche by chance. He got it while he was hunting for constellations on his Faruzan. And he said he played Scaramouche for 3 days and then dropped it, got bored. There's a new shiny toy, you got excited when you first got it and then played it for 3 days. Done. And that's also a thing that I've echoed many, many times in the past. In fact, recently I've just got out of like a video series with me arguing back and forth with my community, saying that people who want to get more characters, saying that's the only way to enjoy this game. I need more characters for more diversity. Soul here says he has every character in the game except 4, and he's built them all up, and he says there's really nothing left. He got nothing left. And this is a person that you're looking at who's seen it all pretty much. From your guys' perspective, he's went through the journey a lot of you guys are embarking on right this very moment. And I'm telling you guys, more often than not, players will reach this stage, because what essentially happened to Soul is he's beaten the game in all sense of the word. He beat Spiral Abyss, he beat character development, he beat story development, he beat everything HoYoverse has to offer him is done. The only thing truly left for Soul to go after are vertical character progression, and that is a very arduous journey. And in Soul's case, why would he seek out vertical character development? There's no purpose for it. And this is where I think a lot of people's roads will diverge from each other, in that some people will find one-shotting monsters, and the faster they can one-shot something, the more fun they're having. Others will find it to be incredibly mundane and repetitive, waste of time. So whether you are somebody who enjoys vertical progression or don't enjoy vertical progression, that is besides the point. My point here is that right now, the veteran players, there's a bulk of them who feels trapped, who feels like there's no more purpose, nothing left to do. And that is completely understandable, because Genshin is a game that was designed to ensnare, not to deliver like a fatal blow, if that makes any sense. The whole point was to ensnare you and slowly siphon money out of your wallet, time out of your days, and Genshin has done that to these veteran players. To make a point out of this, imagine you spending 2 years of your time devoted onto a game, even if you're free to play. You have given far more to this game than the game likely will give back to you. In Soul's case, he's probably nearing like 1,000 hours of playtime, give or take, maybe 700-800 hours of playtime. He's given more than enough when it comes to supporting this game as a player. And on top of all that, he said he's also spent $300-400 on the game as well. Like, just think about this for a second, people. Genshin has taken pretty much everything they can from this man that he's willing to give. So going forward, it sucks to say it, but Genshin could move on without these players, and the game was designed this way. It feels heartless to say, I know, and I know HoYoverse will never actively come out and say this, but just look at how they designed the game. Don't look at what they're saying. Look at what they're doing. Every decision they've made, every turn of events, they've actively chosen to ignore this portion of the community. You know why? It's because they've already given what they could. Basically, another crude way of saying this is they've outlived their usefulness to HoYoverse. HoYoverse is at the point right now where they're cycling out these veteran players. The more of these players in the community, the less beneficial it is for HoYoverse, because they're constantly talking about how endgame doesn't exist. They're spreading these words of negativity into the community, and HoYoverse doesn't want that. HoYoverse wants newer players to come into the game to find people who are overjoyed, super excited for the content, always happy going, and that's why you see these ads of HoYoverse promoting content creators who advocate for non-meta gameplay. So I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's this guy, I see him every now and then when it comes to Genshin ads, and it's just him talking about, oh, you know, I always tell people when you first get into the Genshin, don't worry about the meta, just have fun, just try out different characters. And it's very interesting to me because that is an ad for Genshin Impact. That is not an ad for the streamer, right? So Genshin Impact is advocating these type of creators to the newer player base. So really, I keep emphasizing this. Look at what they do, not what they say. In fact, they don't say anything. So like, it's not like you guys could listen to what they have to say regardless. But really, I feel like Soul has really nailed his delivery in this one, and he really highlighted a lot of the concerns and problems that the veteran players have without it getting too personal and being too judgmental. It comes from himself and a personal place, and he's just sharing his experience with everybody else. So finally, for people who are still here, I'm going to be live streaming Genshin Impact 3.4. I know this video probably doesn't link very well to get excited for a new patch, but I'm not one to really oversell certain things. I tried my best to give my honest take, my honest response. If something feels weak, I'll say it feels weak. Doesn't matter if it's for characters or patch delivery. 3.4 hopefully has more to offer than just Alhaitham, and expecting maybe a sub zone, who knows. I'm expecting something to happen with Chinese New Year, so there's likely a little more goodies to be receiving in this patch than previous ones, as well as later ones. All in all, check out Soul's video. I think people like Soul needs more support in this community. If you do have things that you want to vent, including frustrations or just general advice, I think Soul is a great person to channel that energy into, because he'll then make a video, which actually I think he's probably one of the bigger creators when it comes to being able to talk about Genshin in a negative light, but without it being whiny for some reason. I don't know. Some creators, when they talk about negative things, they feel whiny, but Soul sounds like he actually has a formula figured out, and he is able to deliver this information in a well-constructed manner. Thank you guys very much for watching. Until next time, Rochota, stay safe. Peace, bye.